God. Hi, everybody. Okay, we're starting to record. So we're opening assignment, payroll basic, and payroll with overtime. Right now, what you're seeing on the screen, okay, so I'm going to share it again. Payroll basic is on the assignment tab. Payroll with overtime is there. So open them both up. You go to like this, you click on payroll sample, and we'll open Excel and payroll with overtime. Excuse me. Okay, so this is the basic one. I want you more to listen than follow. Listen and follow. Okay, so this is my Excel spreadsheet. Bigger. We have an example of payroll data. Everybody can see this one? Payroll basic to open from your assignment tab. Okay, so if you have on the top, enable editing, press enable editing. So you'll be able to start working. Okay, so now that you see the file, I could even change the date if I want to. Okay, so this file is it's merged over here. You see that the titles are merged between column A1 until F1, and the same thing on 2. Merging is only working, you know, on top of your work. So if you really want to merge it correctly, it should have been from A1 to H1. I'm showing how to merge. You use merge and center. First, it will move it to the side to the A1, and then merge and center will move it really to the center. Okay, let's repeat the same step. The merge right now, it's between column A to F. It's not the correct merge. It should have been between A all the way to H. So we highlight until H. Not 2 cells at the same time. It works only on 1 row at the same time. Okay, so it's only A2 until H2. Merge and center, you press twice. First, it will go back to like the data, which is typed on A2. Always it's typed in the beginning on A2. And if you need to change the date, you will say now 2020 instead of February 2007. And then you merge and center. Okay, so everybody that just joined, welcome. And we're doing today Excel only. So Excel would be practicing payroll basic that I gave you on assignments. So go to Blackboard assignments and open payroll number 1. And you can also do payroll number 2, which is the second one there. The difference between them is really just the hours. Over here, 40, 20, 38. The other one starts with 50. So you will see that there's 2 files that are very similar. I guess I want you more to listen and work with me. So all I did is right now just merge and center the titles. And the total earnings is typed on column D, and we're going to start with that. Okay, so this one is very simple. I want you just to calculate, and we're going to continue. So we have B7 multiplied by 40. Okay, that's to get B7 multiplied by 40. I'm not saying 8 times 40. I'm referring to the cell. Okay, actually I am doing 8 times 40, but I really want you to learn to always refer to the cell. This is Excel, always you're referring to the cell. So it's B7 times C7. What does it mean, relative reference? Relative reference means that when we type B7 and C7 and planning to copy it down, it changes automatically to B8 to C8 because it's relative to the row it's in. And it changes. But when I want to do the next column, I have to be careful because 6.2 is typed up here. 6.2% is Social Security rate and Medicare. By the way, these two together are called FICA. And FICA is equal to 7.65. 7.65% is from employee, and there's another 7.65 that comes from the employer, and together is 15.3% that the government gets for FICA. So it's FICA is equal to these two, Social Security and Medicare. There's a new language now. This is going to be called, I don't know if you've seen it on checks. It's called OASDI, Old Age Survivor Disability Insurance. And the second one, the Medicare, is called Health Insurance, HI. So if you've seen that on your paychecks, it's the new language for Social Security and Medicare. Okay, but that's what they mean. Percentages, 6.2 and 1.45 did not change in many years. It happens to be, it did change. Social Security was 4.2 during the Obama administration. So it did lower the Social Security, but this is just information for you to know. Any questions so far? Okay, great. So what I'm doing is I have this B7 multiplied by C7, which is H times 40 is 320. Now I'm going to multiply the total earnings, which is D7, by 6.2. I don't want you to refer to 6.2. It will be correct right now. It will be correct. I'm not saying it's not going to be correct. But if you copied it down and you did all of them, imagine 100 employees, and then the law changed to 4.2, you will have to be redoing all your cells. So it's much better to refer to the cell and it will be corrected automatically. It recalculates. So if you didn't put over here 6.2, you would put over here exactly the cell. It will work much better. So it will be 13.44. And if I change this one to 6.2, all 100 employees will be done automatically. So it's much better always to refer to the cell. But how do I refer to a cell when I'm planning to copy it down? If I plan to copy it down, I have to think ahead. If I copied it down, and why did I get 0? Because it moved. Relative reference moves. So it's E8, D8, now it's E6. You see the red cell. So we have the blue cell and the red cell. The blue is fine. I want it to change. But the second one, I want it to be stuck on row number 5. So I can't copy like that. I have to plan to make it absolute reference, or at least to put over here, you know, a $sign before the 5. So the way to work with it, after you select the 6.2, you can press on the keyboard the F4 function. It will give you the $2 signs. Okay, F4 gives you $2 signs right away. Otherwise, you could type it. D7, regular, relative reference, and $E, $5. So you have to use the relative reference here. Now, when I'm copying it down, it will work. So even though I didn't do all of this, it doesn't matter. I'm going to copy this down, and it will work. Okay, let's review again. It's D7 multiply by 1.45. I'm referring to F5. That's the cell. I'm pressing the F4 on the keyboard, and I got the $2 signs. Okay, so it's D7 multiplied by $F, $5. If you just did F $5, which is also correct, it's going to work. So you have to remember where we want it to be fixed on. So it's F5. The F4 key does everything. It goes back to normal, relative reference, fixed, absolute reference, mixed reference. Okay, so either one is fine. But that's what I mean by absolute reference. Okay, the last one, FWT, it stands for, of course, it's an estimate. It's federal, excuse me, federal withholding tax, and that's the income tax. So we're going to use the same total earnings, multiply by G, $5, and we're done with it. So we have all the calculation of taxes, and now comes net pay. Total earnings is gross, and net is after taxes. If it was a real payroll, you would even have more and more columns. You will have state tax, you will have city tax, you might have dental insurance, health insurance deduction, many more deductions. So Our checks is definitely much smaller than gross. So we come to do gross minus taxes. So it's gross. In this case, it's only 3 columns. So you could do this choice of minus, minus, and minus. That's one way. Or anybody wants to come up with another formula? How do I do net pay? Any ideas? Okay, so if I would do D7, I can also type this, minus sum of the range of these 3, E, F, and G together. Always make sure you're highlighting only the row that you're working on. So it's D7 minus E7, F7, and G7, and I'm closing the parentheses and enter. Okay, that's gonna work if you have maybe 8 deductions. So always it's better with D7 equals D7 minus the sum. Remember in Excel, we're starting with equal on any formula. Okay, and then you're done. So you got this answer, and it's all relative. So we can copy it down. And the last part is totals. Okay, totals right here. Again, I'm not starting on columns that are useless for me. What does it mean useless? Hours rate and hours worked should not be totaled at all. Just gross earnings should be totaled. So I'm doing an automatic sum. Automatic sum is this symbol up here. Sum. After you selected, you see that it's D7 to D14. If you by mistake selected D15, you will get a dot. It will say error, circular reference, because you're asking him to total himself as well. So it's always above D7 to D14, never D15. And it will do it for you. So again, the totals, D7 to D14, you press enter, and it usually would copy down by examples. So he might not even done sum, he might have just copied what he saw above him. Let's see the formula here. Yeah, you see it says D15 times E5, it's fine, the formula is working. So you just copied what he saw before. If you still don't like it, you can always change it to automatic sum, but it's definitely doing it. I want you to see automatic sum one more time, equal H7 till H14, and I'm totaling it. Okay, so this is my answer. I'm gonna double check my answers. I think it's correct. Okay, so we have 2,005 and 90 cents. That's the net, and this is the gross. Gross salary and net salary. Okay, now it's accounting. How do you record this payroll in your accounting books? If you just did it on Excel, what is really the connection to accounting? Any idea what would be debit and what would be credits?
Gross will be debit.
Okay, I'll give you the beginning. This is a debit. Total earning is gross. Net pay is basically your salaries payable or cash. Any ideas? If I'm saying cash, is it the debit or credit when I pay?
Credit.
Credit. Okay, somebody help me with the credit. Good. So the answer is all of the taxes are payable, and that's the reason they're all credits. So it's one debit and 4 different credits. Okay, so let's finish it up. First, if you want to check the formulas, so if I did it too fast for you, I want to show you the formulas. I'm pressing Control and tilde. Tilde is the squiggly line to the left of the number 1 on the keyboard. You see what happens? It shows you the formulas of everything that you did. And this is how you're being graded, because of course you could use the calculator and typed it in. I'm looking at all the formulas. That's how you graded on Excel Prep. So any field that does not follow, formulas, you will not get the points. You have to learn to follow directions. Even if my quiz said you must follow a yes or a no, don't leave blanks, you'll get less points. So following direction is very important as an accountant. Any employee who doesn't follow direction, basically can even lose his job, because you can work and waste hours of hours when you gave me, let's say, all the customers' addresses when I needed customers' phone numbers. So you wasted a couple hours and you didn't listen to the instructions. So following instructions are very important. Okay, so whenever I give instructions on top and I say it must have relative reference, it means these dollar signs that you see here. Okay, in this example. Again, control tilde, I go back to show you the answers. Okay, what do I do with this? Sometimes I need to copy and paste. I need this information because I want to do the journal entry. So if I want to do the journal entry and I copy regular, if I just do copy, control C, and paste it down here, you see the numbers change because it's relative to, I want to show you help really, I want to show you the formula. So why did it change? Because it shifted and now it's D11 to D18. So for sure, this is not the right way to copy and paste. How do we do it? So we do copy. Copy is the symbol over here, copy, control C. And before I'm pasting, I'll move down even. I want to paste it into this box. I'm going to say paste special. You can do it on the right mouse click also. Okay, you see the word paste options. Okay, my computers are really stuck right now, so 1 second. I'll try from up here. Okay, so it's usually, oh, no, I think I saw it. Paste options. Not doing it well. Okay, so you see over here it says paste is paste values. I want to paste values. So I want the number to be the answer, not the formula. So that's pasting value. Now we just did 2772.5. So that's a special paste. That's one way. Now, sometimes you need also another special thing, but I'm copying all these numbers. You're noticing that I said all of them are credits. I want to move them down here, but instead of horizontally, I want to copy it as vertical to move down. Okay, so again, I'm going to make you an idea of a journal entry. Okay, so here's the account. Description. First one would be salaries expense. That's how I record a payroll. Next one would be Social Security tax payable. Okay, next one will be FICA, it's Medicare tax payable. Which is also, you could do copy from on top, FWT, income tax payable, or just say pay. And the last one would be salaries payable or cash. Okay, so that's my information. Okay, one column will be debits, it's a journal entry, and the second column will be credits. So now I want to move all those numbers from up there here. Okay, so first let's double check the totals. Okay, so it's doing E7 to E14, correct. Now I'm going to copy these numbers. Okay, not too much, just what I need. 170, 190, 40.20, okay, like that, down here. So I go to the first credit, and I'm pasting special. I don't know why it's not functioning. So you want to do pay special, which is here. Pay special. I prefer to really go show you the window of pay special because it's 2 steps. Pay special does all formulas, values, formats, and things like that. So I need for sure values. And I also wanted to move from horizontal to vertical. So if you're looking carefully at this window, you will have the word transpose. So it's going to transpose from a vertical to horizontal, from a horizontal to vertical. So I say, okay, and I got all the numbers here. It kept, if you have too many, you know, it looks like a mess, you just could do comma or $sign. Either way, it will look nice, and you'll have 2 decimal places. Okay, so now the journal entry is complete. Another way of doing it, some of you will find it easier. You just say equal the cell above like that. But you have to say equal and refer to the cell. Okay, like this. It's also tells you exactly what's in that cell. So that's another way of special, but it's not going to do the transposing for you. You'll have to do one by one. Okay, so I think space special is definitely more useful. Okay, so I got all my journal entry and it's done. Okay, so now I want to point out the hourly rate and hours worked. Everybody over here worked less than 40 hours, which means 40 hours is regular pay. But if you work over 40 hours, you will get time and a half. So I want you to switch to the next one when we're going to do time and a half. Okay, one more thing I want to teach on this before we're going to continue. You could do, let's say the hourly rate right here. I want to remember it for next time. So I'm highlighting only the hourly rate from B7 until D14. And I'm calling it rate. Okay, so I don't need to highlight. I could be even in sheet number 3 and say, oh, what was the rate of this guy? I don't remember, no problem. So we can go back and click here and choose rate, and it will highlight for me anytime I need to look at the rates. I could do this also on Social Security. This is called naming a range. I'm highlighting right now only E5, and instead, this is the naming box, the name box over here, location of E5. And E5 will get the title now, Social Security. Social Security is enough, let's say yes. Next one, I could do it again on Medicare. So F5 will change the name to Medicare. And FWT will be FWT. Okay, so if I wanted to change, let's say FWT, the income tax, which is really an estimate over here of 20%, I think that it's too high. This is based on your W-4 really, when you fill up for the job, if you're married, you're single, how many dependents. So it's between 15 to 20%, but let's say I wanted to go on the low ball to 15%. The minute I change this box, everything will change to 15%. So let's assume that I changed, okay, I'll go back to 22nd. I'm gonna copy this whole sheet and I'm moving it to sheet number 2. Okay, so now my sheet number 2 is the same as sheet number 1, but I have different hours every week. So the next payroll, I'll just have to change hours worked, all the formulas would work. Okay, so this I'm deleting. And as I'm typing the hours, it changes the pay rate and everything. So let's say I want to change this time to 15% over here. This will be 15%. But I don't remember what it was. I can always go back, click here, and say, show me FWT. So FWT was 20%. So it's a mistake for me, maybe. I'll have to go back, change it back to 20%. So that's the benefit of naming a range. That's one benefit. The naming the ranges also makes it as a fixed area. It's always this whole range of, let's say, the rate of the people. All this is right now like saying $B7 until $B14, all stuck. Absolute reference on this whole area. So it's very important to name the range later on in vlookup and in functions. It's just easier for you. So naming the range is very useful. Okay, so like this, I could do sheet number 2. Let's say he worked 29 hours and this guy works 35 hours and the rest worked 40. So as you're working, it will work. Okay, you can see then all the payroll is done in a couple minutes. So that's how you work with it. You copy and paste. That's the reason we have so many sheets, and you could do a whole year of payroll in a minute. Just every week you copy and you prepare it. And this you can also create as a macro and have all the weeks over here. Okay, so that's naming a range. Now we're learning naming the sheet. Naming the sheet over here. So sheet number 2, I'm changing the date only. I'm going to say that this is February 12th. I want you to see a different date. Okay, so sheet number 1, the one we just finished, I'm double clicking where it says sheet 1 and I'm writing February. 1 second. Typing over there. You could do it caps, you could do whatever you want really. February 5th, payroll. If you don't want to do so long, you just say pay and the date. So it's February 5th and the year. Next, double click. This is February 12th. See, it accepts spaces, whatever you want. But you cannot repeat the same thing. It can't be February 5th again. Every sheet has to have a special tab, special name. It's unique code. So you can go back to it and now continue and copy for the next one. Okay, so we finished practicing with this one. Now we're going to go into this next one that I told you to open, which is payroll with overtime. Okay, so payroll with overtime. Before I'm sharing it, 1 second. Okay, it's right here, payroll sample 2. I'm waiting for it to open. Maybe it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. Okay, I'm gonna delete everything inside. I'll make it again. Okay, so here's the second one. This time, the column C has different hours. Okay, if you're noticing that it says 50 hours, 20, 42, 8, and so on. So some people over here will get overtime. What does it mean, overtime? Overtime is time and a half. Time and a half or over 40 hours. So we will have to build a condition that calculates over 40 hours to calculate for me the time and a half. I want to do it all in one cell. But if you don't know what you're doing, you will have to come up with all these new cells, move everything, insert columns, and start working so hard. Okay, this part I don't want you to do. I'm just explaining. So you don't need to insert anything right now. Okay, don't insert, just listen. I don't know who's in and out of the class all the time, but okay, so what I'm doing is I'm showing you how I'm inserting some columns, but really don't do it. It's just explanation. So what I'm doing is this: hours worked, I have to calculate the overtime. So first I would say, what is the regular rate? Okay, regular hours and regular hours. What is regular pay? I'm calculating that first. Then what is the overtime? Okay, I would need even another column. Overtime rate. Of course, it's not necessary, but I want to do it to explain it. What is the overtime hours? What is the overtime rate? And what is the overtime pay? OT stands for overtime. Overtime pay. So if you do not know how to use an if, you would be creating so many columns that are not necessary, but you would be working slower and more carefully. So regular hours are 40, and regular pay would be the 8 times 40, which we saw before. That's 320. So, no, I'm sorry. You see, it's wrong. 50 times 8. I'm not using the right cell. I'm supposed to use D. So if you got 400, this is wrong. If this is your overtime pay, for sure you're wrong. You're not going to be happy if this is your pay because the answer is not 400. You need to give 40 times 8, or 8 times the 40. And the overtime should be calculated as overtime hours of 10. How did I get to the 10? 50 hours is over the 40. 50 minus 40 is 10 hours. And the 10 hours, all this I would be doing on the board. So that's the reason I'm explaining it without, showing you in columns. But usually I don't need any of this. So because I don't have a board right now, I'm using Excel to show you the explanation. So 40 hours is 320. 10 hours should be getting time and a half. So time and a half of the 8 means take the 8, which is B7, multiplied by 1.5, or if it's easier for you, 150%. That's $12 an hour. And now we're going to get 10 hours times 12. It's a long calculation. That's 120. And now we have to add them up to get the total earnings. So how do I do that in one cell? The 320 plus 120. And even tell the computer that if they worked only 20 hours, give them the regular pay, 20 times 7. So all this I'm going to build in an if. All this will be an if. Okay, so I don't need these extra column. I'll go back to the original in a minute. I just want you to think about it. How do we create an if? So if it's your first time doing an if, I don't think there was a group chat created for this class. But you're welcome to use the discussion board, and I'll do a group chat for you over there. If somebody wants to do a WhatsApp group, you're welcome. Be creative, do it. So I'm willing to open a discussion board, and you could do exchange phone numbers, exchange emails. One more important thing about Excel prep. Every file that you open has your unique number and unique name. So do not share files. Otherwise, it will be that you're getting, both of you will be cheating and you'll get nothing. So make sure that you're creating the Excel files on your own. You could discuss things and, if you need help with something, but the file has to be created by yourself. Your own computer, your own submission. Otherwise, I would see that it's flagged and it will say, Mr. this and that shared with this person, and I know who created originally. So please work together, but individually on files. Excel files have to be individually done. And I'm explaining right now that it will be flagged and both of you will not be graded. Okay, so this is the example of the if. Now I'm going to share another example that is usually I'm using it for, I'm using if to help me grade my students. So it doesn't matter the name of the students here. It happens to be an accounting 2001 class. And the final grade was here. And I wanted to get the computer to help me grade about, usually my classes are 90-something students. So obviously it's a large class, to get help of what would be the grade. Did they pass or fail? So I can build an if. What is an if? If has 3 parts. Okay, I'm sorry, please. If is 3 parts, I'll do it here. Logical test, that means a condition. If something, give me the results. So after you did the logical test, there are 2 parts. If true, or this last part is if it's false. Okay, you have to remember to always put 3 parts. You can't leave it blank. So if has 3 parts. The if function is very useful. You can use it for calculation. You can use it for text. You can use it for many things. So I'm going to show you how I'm using it to help me just give information to students. And all this would be like usually students' ID, not even names. And then they will see their grades and other information there. Okay, so I'm starting to teach you if like this. First, my condition. My condition is if it's, they got 67.5, let's say I decided that will be my passing grade. So above 67.5, okay, let's do it 75. If it's equal and bigger than 75, they're passing. So if somebody got exactly 75, he's passing. If he got 75.1, okay, he's passing. And under it, of course, it's not. So if it's false, he will not pass. So we're starting like this. We're using the function over here, the f and the x here, insert function. It's usually in the most recently used. Most recently used, you'll find if. If you couldn't do it, just type if. It's only 2 letters. So you got the if. Oh, I chose vlookup, sorry. Okay, so let's do it again. Insert function. If, you see it here. Checks whether a condition is met and returns if value is true and value is false. So that's the 3 parts. So you're getting this box of the function arguments. My logical test is if, and the computer gonna match B, I want to start with the top, B2, bigger, okay, bigger than 75. But if I want equal to 75, should I type, okay, you see right now it's equal to 75 because it's 82. He's reading 82, so I get the answer of true. But I also want to put the equal. So the question is, should I put the equal here? Equal bigger than 75? And look what happens. My condition is not good, it's invalid, because the symbol of equal has to be bigger and equal. Now it's true. Bigger and equal to 75 minimum, so that's fine, that's true. What should the computer do if it's bigger than equal to 75? So I want them to say pass. And I typed it all caps. Look that I didn't put any quotation marks, but the minute I type the next one, it will give me automatically quotation marks. The reason is quotation marks is the label in Excel. So it's like I'm returning whatever you want to write. And you could have wrote over there blue, black, color, it doesn't matter. So the computer is reading it as a label. Same thing on the word fail. It's right now in quotation marks because it's a label called pass fail. If it wasn't a label, it would be a number. Let's say, give me the answer of 75. Like that. I don't want the answer. I want it to be pass fail or just give me the grade. No, I want the word pass fail. So pass has to be in quotation mark. And now we're seeing that the answer is equal to pass because it's 82. But if it was those 45 or 53, it will say fail. So I want you to notice it's enough if you just typed it, A, B, C, like 4 different students, 82, 75, 10, 45, 53. Type it on a new Excel and you'll try it with me. So it's enough to type this much. A, B, C students and these numbers on a new Excel. So the Excel sheet has these 4 numbers and right now I got pass. So my formula was if B2 bigger and equal to 75, it's pass, if not fail. When you got it once, you can copy it all the way down, even to 100 lines, to whatever lines you want. So you'll get your pass fail. Okay, you can continue till the end. Depends how many students you really have, like that. Okay, so this happens to be a real class. Okay, so now I can build a condition, also a logical test, even based on the words. If they pass, let's say I want to do, okay, this one is This column was pass-fail. Next column, I want it to be credits given. How many credits? So if this is a 4-credit class, they'll get 4 credits. If it's not a 4-credit class, they'll get 0 credit, meaning if they fail, they'll get 0. So credits could be, my condition could be 4 or 0. And then I can even go and give them a nice long note, whatever I want to give them. Okay, so this is my accounting 2001 class example. So it's a 4-credit class, and if they pass, so I can do the same condition. Whenever you have a condition that works, you can use the same. It's not harmful, why not? I can always go back and say B2 equal bigger, okay, bigger and equal to 82. But I want to teach you how to do it with a label, that the computer has to match the word pass. So I'm saying, what if logical test was C2, okay, by the way, this is to go back into the cell. If anytime you want to go into a cell, this is how you select the cell. So C2 equals, because I'm putting a label, I have to type the quotation mark. It's not going to do it for me. So I'm typing the quotation mark pass. So if they pass, give them 4 credits. If not, 0 credits. So I'm not ignoring the false. Okay, and I got them all done. Okay, and I got to the pass-fail. Again, if you like the first condition better and it's easier for you, no problem. So you use the logical test and say if B2 is bigger and equal to 75. Let's give another answer. Congratulations. You can take accounting, let's say 3051. Next, if not, please repeat accounting 2001. Okay, so you saw that it's all quotation marks came from the computer when it's really just text that I didn't need to type inside a formula. The computer did it. Okay, so this is 3 times we used an if and you didn't even know that I used an if, and I solved my paperwork much faster. The whole idea of Excel is to really work fast and be more efficient. Okay, so this is also data analytics in your books. Later on, it's a lot of data analytics. If you're looking for somebody, you can look for it as over here in data and use the first line as filter. Okay, you see this filter right now? So if I'm looking for a specific let's say I'm looking for one, I'll take everybody off and I'm looking for Daniel. Okay, I'll get right away if you failed or passed, you know, and it's easier for me to filter out of the group. So I'm filtering a student out of the group and I'm going back to select them. So this is data analytics in Excel. So I'm going to use a lot of things in this one. And this is my if simple. Okay, so now that we discussed if without any calculations, now we will go to if with calculations. Any questions on this? If you want to see any of this, I'm showing the tilde. Look at the formulas. It does tend to stretch all the columns. So you see the pass fail, you see the pass and 4 credits and 0 credits, or you see the same condition with a long note. And nobody will know that I use this. Okay, so you have the 3 of them, 3 different ifs. Okay, I'm going to continue with going back to the share of the overtime. So I went back to overtime. I'm erasing all those extra columns I don't need. I told you it will be only temporary. So we're back to normal. Now we have the 8 hours, the 50 hours, and we want to do a whole if here of if calculations. So what would be the condition? I want you to think about the condition. What is the condition for overtime? What should I type in the first condition? What's your logical test?
Greater than 40?
Greater than 40, very good. Should I put equal anywhere?
I think it comes after the 40.
Exactly. The 40th hour, you're getting $8, correct. So you will not put equal, greater and equal in this case, because the 40th hour is regular time. The overtime starts at 41. So you really should only use the over. Very good. So we're referring to the cell and say hours worked are greater than 40. So if it's C7, greater than 40. But you will notice that the next one is only 20 hours. He needs to get paid on anyway. So remember, it's going to take the true and the false. Very good. So we're putting over here, if C7 is greater than 40, that's my only condition. Because if it's equal to 40, it's wrong. I don't want him to calculate overtime. So 41 hour only. So just C7 greater than 40, which is true because he's reading the 50. Now we're going to start exactly what I wrote before. I want to calculate the regular, which is 40 hours times, I'm referring to the cell B7, because sometimes it's 7, sometimes it's 10. So it depends on the hourly rate. So first I'm doing B7 times 40, which is the 320 regular. If you worked 40 hours, you should get 320. And I'm adding the overtime, but let's think about the overtime. Overtime is the 50 C7 minus the 40. So what I achieved is only C7 minus 40. I'm only achieving 10. Look at the last, the answer as I'm working. You see, I had 320 until now, and now I got 330. So I got the 10 hours. What should they do with the 10 hours? We multiply by time and a half the rate. So again, we refer to B7, multiply by 1.5. If it's easier for you, put parentheses on everything. Doesn't hurt. Okay, so if you see what the result is, it's 440, not 400, because the regular is 400. If you will just do 50 times 8, it's going to be just 400. So the answer is 440. That's the correct way to do the overtime. But what if they didn't? What if they worked 20 hours? Would they still get paid? So the answer is yes. That's the reason I need to do B7 multiply. Okay, I'm in the wrong place. B7 multiply by C7. Okay, so now we have the if logical test, if it's true and if it's false. But you see the result coming from the true for 40. So you always have to check yourself. After you did this formula and copy it down, I'm suggesting to always read at least 2 or 3 cells to make sure it works. Say okay. So I got it here. I'm using this paste special, the corner. It's the fill handle that fills by example, so it copies the formula and the function. Okay, you see I'm waiting for a skinny plus, and I'm moving it down. So that's the small. Otherwise, if you're pressing in here, click and drag, the copy, you know, is really different. Let's say if I'm writing, but I want able to be copied down. You see, it's going to copy all the A's like that. It's not an example of anything. But the special corner does many things about, let's say, the day of the weeks, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or the month, of course. You're going to have a lot of special things that this fill handle can handle. It does the day of the weeks. It does the month, like that. So you can go either way, anywhere. Okay, let's take it off. That's the special corner. So now we have the full 40. Let's check if it works. First, if you want to look at the formula, it's control and the tilde. So it's if C7 is greater than 40, which is true. C7 is 50. B7 times 40. And again, doesn't matter the operation. If the order, if you wrote B7 times 40, of course, it's going to work. So it doesn't matter the order of which one first, which one second. C7 minus 40, that's for overtime, and B7 times 1.5. That's how to calculate the overtime rate. And that comma tells us what if it's not true, it's B7 times C7. That's the false. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so I'm visually checking that it makes sense. If I saw over here $500 instead of $550, I knew it would be wrong because 10 times 50 is 500. And here it's 550, so it's correct. Or if I see the 7 times 20 gave me a 0, I know it's wrong. But 7 times 20 is really 140. So it's definitely doing it. You need to look at least 2 of them. You could check the 45 if it's easier for you. I think it's easier for me to check the 10 times 50 because I know that time and a half of 10 is $15. $15 times 10 is 150. 150 plus a regular 400 is 550. So it makes sense. So 550 is correct. Yeah, you can see the 10 times 40 is 400, and this is extra 150, so it's 550. Okay, the rest you should just practice like we did before. We'll take you 2 more minutes to finish this up. We're using the same formulas we did before. I'm reminding you F4, $2 signs. Okay, all of them with $2 signs. So take the 440, multiply by the F5, and it's fixed. Or another way of doing it, if we named it before, if you call this FWT, okay, remember I named the field. You see I'm naming the field right now. This field is the G5. After you name it, you always press enter. And I can do the formula as 440 multiplied by FWT. It's the same as absolute reference. So naming the range or any way you want to do it, it's fine. Okay, net pay, gross minus all these deductions. So 440 minus sum of these 3. E7 till G7. Usually you'd need to finish with parentheses. Okay, so when you're all done, you will have the total right here. Net pay. Let's do totals. Automatic sum. Because something is incorrect here. Or you can even copy from here if you want to make sure that it says automatic sum. D7 to D14. Wait for the field handle, copy across. And this is the correct answer. 2307.06. Okay, so we just calculated time and a half. We're almost done for today. I just want to start with one more topic, which is vlookup, and we'll be done. Okay, so vlookup will be another sheet. Should I do anything again? Anybody wants me to clarify something? Okay, very good. So all the students in this group, you have a WhatsApp group link on Blackboard if you want to join. Excellent. Thank you very much. And I will be checking my inbox today. I'm trying to catch up on hundreds of emails that I didn't do on Sunday. So please bear with me. I'm catching up. I will answer all my emails. Okay. As I told you, I have a very large class and you're not my only students. So some of you are repeatedly sending the same emails. I will get back to you. Okay, so if you're worried about the book, don't worry so much. You will get the book on time. Even if it's September 20th, you'll have plenty of time to do it. That's the reason I'm doing more Excel in the beginning of class and later on more QuickBooks. Okay, so you have this total. We're done with the sheet and we're going to go into something called vlookup, vertical lookup. Okay, so remember, you will need to use also the name range. If the instruction said name the range, you highlight like this, and you're naming a range. So we're starting with another one called vlookup. I didn't give it to you yet. I will give it to you. It's gonna look like this. So let me share it. Like this. Okay, you will find this on Excel prep with instructions. So don't even copy, it's not gonna be the same row. It'll be a little bit different, but the same ideas. Okay, so what does a vlookup stands for? You have over here information. I'm highlighting for you to show you that it's also, I'm testing two things when I do vlookup. I want to see that you know how to do vlookup and how to do if, that we just covered. See the 50 hours over here, 45 hours, so that you will definitely need to use on gross pay the if function that we just learned. And you will be needing to create a vlookup based on this on the bottom. Okay, so vlookup stands for vertical lookup in a table. We want the computer to get the results for us. So here's an example of a table that I gave, job titles and hourly rate. If you're a floor assistant, you're making $18 an hour. If you're a laboratory specialist, you're getting 38.5. If you're a tech level 1, level 2, or trainee, you're making 11. So it's typed in 3 different columns. I'm numbering it for you, 1, 2, and 3. Notice the number 2 is completely empty. Okay? Just the way I typed it. Now we're gonna look things up. Of course, you can do this by yourself, but I want the computer to look it up. So you see the word trainee, technician level 1, 2, whatever, right here. Now this table, by the way, has to be in ascending order and sorted. What does it mean? That you have to alphabetize all the job titles. So if you have an accountant, bookkeeper, it has to be in alphabetical order. Accountant first, bookkeeper next, secretary, whatever it is. All the job titles have to be in ascending order. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So it has to be first organized. If you had trainee first, you know, if the sort was off, it's not going to work. So the first rule is it has to be in an organized ascending order. Okay, so this is the quiz you have on Excel Pro. And we're almost done. So we're only going to do VLOOKUP right here on hourly rate. Of course, you can look this up yourself and type 11, but I would see that you typed 11 and there will be no grade at all. You get 0 for this because you didn't use VLOOKUP. So we want to use VLOOKUP. So we start like this, insert function, VLOOKUP, vertical lookup. If it's not in the most recently used, you're going to look at lookup and references and go almost all the way down to V, and you'll find VLOOKUP, the third one from the bottom. So what does VLOOKUP stands for? It looks at the value in the leftmost column of the table and then returns the value in the same row from a column you specify. So you have to tell me which column to find the answer. By default, the table must be sorted in ascending order. So what I was telling you now, that the table has to be in ascending order. And to make your life a little bit easier, I would suggest naming the range. Instead of saying, okay, all this, and it has to be $7 until C14, everything with dollar signs, it'll be easier for you to do this. Highlight the table, exactly what you need, and naming it. Maybe call it rate. Okay, an example, I gave rate. So I called it rate, and this is the rate that we're going to look up. So it's easier to name the range. Okay, so now we're going over here, and we're saying, okay, look it up and match. Find the job title trainee in the table on the bottom. So we're starting with insert function, and lookup and references, VLOOKUP. There's also HLOOKUP, that's useful, but we're working vertically right now. Okay, so lookup value would be reading and comparing B8 to whatever is in the table. So B8, find it in the table, and I named the table rate. If I didn't name the table rate, it will not come up in here. You could highlight there also, but remember to put dollar signs on everything you just did. So if you didn't name it rate, you have to remember to do this area. And when you finish this area, okay, I should take extra. I'll take a little bit extra space. Okay, so it's B22, should be B23 till D28. And I'm pressing the F4 on everything. So you see the dollar signs on everything, that will stay constant. So it is easier to just name the range before rate. And if my instructions is you must name it rate, so please name it rate. Now column index number, where do you want the answer to come from? Column 1, column 2, or column 3? What does it mean? If I would try 1, it will say the word trainee. I know that he's the trainee, that's not helpful for me. If I say the column 2, see I'm getting 0 because it's an empty column. If I'm getting the column 3, you're noticing that I'm getting an answer. It's $11. Okay, so again, if you didn't understand the 1, 2, and 3, look at the bottom and number it. And number, this is column 1, this is column 2, and this is column 3. So the answer should come from column 3. And that's it. Not the answer. So now because it's constant, it will take always the same information and bring it down. Okay, so like this, you're going to review and complete this extra work, and you're going to have to do if over here, if for overtime, federal income tax, social security, and net pay. So something like this, you'll be on Excel Prep. Okay, so this is your homework. Any other questions? Hi, okay, so remember to use in your formulas fixed reference. And whenever you submit, really follow the instructions. You will get less points if you just type something without doing the function that I want. So if this challenge is called for a vlookup and an if, you make sure you have vlookup and an if and all the functions. Everything is formulas. Column D, E, F, G, H, I, all of them would have all the totals that needed. Okay, be careful with that. And don't play around with submitting other people's work because both of you will lose points. You'll get 0 on both. I get right away flagged that it tells me the source is Mr. Harris gave it to Mr. this one, and I don't want this to happen. So please be careful and create your own sheets. You could get the help from each other. It was a good idea to have a WhatsApp group and to communicate since we're not in class physically. So you get to know your friends in the class. Good luck, everybody. And bye for now. And I'm going to put it, right now I'm going to stop recording. And I'm going to share it later.